Hey, leader, 10 years ago, we put out a book called Figure That Shift Out. We're celebrating the 10-year birthday with 10 stories of transformation of people who went through Figure That Shift Out and experienced a completely new level. They didn't get there by pushing harder in the pressure. They learned how to see clearly who they are in the best and worst of moments. We could say how they could relax into their brilliance. Listen in on these stories as you consider what might be possible for your own transformation. Welcome, everybody. Sight Shift Podcast. Oh, this series is so much fun. We are doing 10 minutes, 10 stories to celebrate Sight Shift's Figure That Shift Out coaching program turning 10 years old. And I get to welcome my brother from another mother, David Sherry, and we got some history, David. We're going to get into it. But before we do, so glad you're here. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do in the world, and I'll guide us from there.
Yeah, Chris, it's so nice to be able to talk with you and catch up. I've been coaching for the last 5 years now, and that practice started out of running a business, which I got coaching from you on. And so I feel like you really cracked the door on my coaching journey, and I would not be here today if it weren't for our work together. So
Oh,
thanks for having me.
dude, trying to hit me right in the feels at the beginning, man. Gotta recollect some. I wasn't expecting that. Well, for me, I think what's so special about today is twofold. One, how I've seen you continue to take that next edge of becoming. I mean, so many people reach plateaus and they're like, I thought I should coast by now, and you're not content to do that. The other reason is because we may let a little secret out on the podcast here today. Um, and that is when we made Figure That Shift Out a coaching program, I had already been doing people behind the scenes, but it was just like really rough emails and complicated audios and way too long. And here's the big news. I've been doing the work 5 years, but when it first formally became a coaching program, ladies and gentlemen, David Sherry was number one. That's pretty crazy, dude. Pretty
Did not
special.
feel that way. Felt very mind-blowing right from the beginning, and I think that's a testament to the model and the deep thinking that's gone into it for a very long time. So happy to be sort of formal customer number one, but I wouldn't say that was I didn't have that experience. And maybe one thing I can talk about some is being a CEO at the time when I hired you. I think I just was not really aware of the full scope and spectrum of what coaching could do for somebody.
Hmm.
So I feel like you really opened my eyes to what like a parallel process of growth running a business could be like. So
Yeah.
didn't feel that way. I felt like a huge breakthrough and also showed me a lot about what this world is like. And I think for a lot of CEOs, founders who maybe haven't had coaches before, it can be a little fuzzy on the outside, but once you get into it, you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that I've been needing this.
That's awesome articulation. I'll confess something. I think I probably back then we didn't have like anybody, we didn't have operations department, people sending out invoices. And I'm sure I probably did a Google template invoice and not have it oh 01, but 1001.
Right, right. I should look back and see if I can find it.
So yeah, what was the pain point you were in at that time? And then what did the coaching open up for you in a surprising way?
Yeah, so I was running a business, and I think really for anyone running a business, whether you're an executive or a founder, you're doing a lot of things for the very first time. And that stretch of being constantly sort of in new situations. I mean, for me, running a business that was growing very rapidly, hiring all types of people I'd never hired before, working with people who are a lot older than me, a lot more experienced than me. And so I was just experiencing kind of the stretch of a lot coming at me at once. And I think a lot of founder CEOs, executives can understand that experience. It's a lot of it's new problems, new challenges. And so I think in that, my stress levels started to grow. And I was sort of maybe just feeling a little bit like I needed to find some calm and some centeredness among the crazy. And the irony too is a lot of it was good stuff. Like it was growth. It wasn't just that. the business was doing poorly. Actually, it was probably doing better than ever. But how do you find your steadiness in that when you're doing a lot of things for the first time? So we got connected through a mutual friend of ours, and our conversations kind of opened up a dialogue about how to be a leader and how to be a full kind of person amidst the stress.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think for people to really appreciate and realize, like, there's survival problems and growth problems. Those are two different things. But the growth problems you were experiencing were really unique in the sense that, and whatever metric you think would be helpful, but like the subscriber growth you had, you know,
Yeah,
that
I was pretty
kind of,
visible.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think within 2, 3 years, is $1 million revenue. It was 500,000 people subscribed, and so it was a visible position to be
Mm,
in terms of my publishing was going out to a lot of people across the world. And also, that was the most money I'd ever made in the business before. I mean, I was just out of school actually when I started that company. So I think both the revenue growth and the subscriber sort of public or publicity, I guess you could say, um, yeah, led to part of that. You know, you feel kind of the pressure of that, and the more people who use your products, especially when you're the owner of those products, the more stress you feel about getting things right
ooh,
and being a good steward as well of the business itself. I mean, I think even at that time, I kind of felt like, okay, this is a little bigger than me. So yeah, there's lots of pressures, and I think one thing that also led me to coaching, and I see a little bit now in my own work, is you don't always have the right people to talk to about some of the challenges that you're facing. So, you know, I had friends obviously that I would catch up with, and I can only kind of fill them in so much about some of the challenges that I'm facing, and you don't really want to come off in a certain way to them, you know, oh, you've got this business that's growing, like what a problem, you know. Um, and maybe you have investors or people you work with, but you can't really be fully honest with them. Um, you might have a therapist, but they don't really quite understand what it's like to kind of be in a business.
yeah.
So I think part of it is what I found is, oh, this is a space for a certain type of conversation that I didn't realize I was able to have with somebody, and to be supported in that way. So it's really a different type of support that I think once people start to get it, they realize, oh, this is really valuable. That's what I felt.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're making me think of like the way people exit, and we've walked through a number of those with people, and like getting $5 million is its own problem. There's a Succession clip about 5 million is the worst because it's enough that you're not motivated to work, but it's not enough that you can actually stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's problems at 50 million and 100 million when you get these big payouts, and same thing with the size of the company and all of that. I think you're just articulating like so beautifully. There has to be a space where this awareness can start to develop so you can get calm and steady under that pressure and get a vision and know how to move forward. And this will be hard to access when we get into the act three here in a second, but like the best you can, what did you feel like you gained coming out of Figure That Shift Out that made you want to keep, pursuing coaching? And we did a lot more coaching after that. And then for you even to get in coaching, what was the stuff or magic of that made you keep going?
Yeah. Yeah. A few things come to mind. The first is that the identity conversation I found to be really powerful because I started to see how much I was connecting who I was as the business, right? There was almost no separation between the role that I was playing and who I was as a person. And I think a lot of my stress was coming from that lack of clarity and understanding. And
Mm,
so getting back to the root of who I am outside of this particular project in the moment, um, was part of what helped release some of that stress and really helped me show up and navigate future stress. I think
mm,
once you build a stronger foundation, uh, you in yourself as an identity, then I think that that's the right foundation for future growth, future challenges that you might face. You won't get knocked off balance the same way. So that's been a lifelong lesson, and it's something I see other people running into and being challenged with all the time, which is you sort of grip so tightly to that one identity that you get more and more stressed. And if it's gone, you know, your whole world falls apart. So what is it like to show up, as a whole person, in your business and across many of the things that you do in your life and different and also just in your personal life too. I'm married now, wasn't then, but how do you show up as a husband, potentially a parent, a friend, a family member, like keeping that wider perspective in mind, I actually think is really important and grounding for entrepreneurs. So I think the first thing was an identity crisis maybe, and an identity understanding or clarity that helped me then and helps me now. Um, I think
Mm.
the second thing is it started. I think I've always been someone interested in my own personal development, but because our coaching really accelerated that process of development. If you're trying to learn on your own, you can kind of only get so far. If you have someone else there, a coach like yourself, suddenly you can start growing personally a lot faster. And so I started seeing my own sort of opportunity in my career across my lifespan as being directly correlated to how much I'm growing personally. And so coaching, in our dialogues was a great way to accelerate that. So I think that's another reason I kept going is wait a second, this is a way for me to upskill, up level. And something else maybe people resonate with today is it's hard to get mentorship. It's hard to learn and progress in your career. I think everyone's so focused on what they're doing. It's like, how do you get other mentors and help and support? So that reflection, I think, is really valuable as well that you gave.
Mm.
And I can take it to why am I coaching now? Why have I
Yeah,
brought that
yeah.
into kind of what I do? Um, I feel like it's needed. And two, it's just such an endless sort of well, of interest for me. I just started getting really interested in leadership development, personal development, and I sort of got into coaching partly consciously, but also because people started asking about it as well. I think you mentioned this earlier, right? That um, people maybe see that you're acting
Hmm.
differently or they see some way that you're showing up and they kind of get curious about that. And so some of my first clients were just other founders in a similar stage to me asking questions. And then I was starting to tell them more about my own experiences with SideShift um, and how and why that's been valuable to me.
Oh, I love that, man. Well, I mean, and I want to give you a chance here before we're done to share how people can get in touch with you because clearly there are going to be people that are going to listen and go, man, I love the way that he's showing up and the thoughtfulness and the intentionality. And what I just want to comment on is this guy lives it. I get chills. One, I had just launched into this business, like doing it full time, leaving two other incomes behind and I had to move, and my network, so to speak, in a weird way to say it, had totally changed. And I got friends in other states, but as far as local people, and I didn't have any money to move us. And I'm like, hey, I know we're just getting to know each other, but if you can come help me move, number one. Number two, I'm the teacher, the coach. I still have my moments. And you and I got tight, man. And I had a really hard moment in 2016 and I was out driving and it was late at night. And I knew like none of my East Coast friends were awake. Central time zone friends weren't awake. And I was like, who do I know out on the West Coast that might be awake? And of course, immediately it was like, David, I called you. You were in a party because you stepped out. And I was like, dude, I just need somebody to talk to. Third, this is just a recent example how your name has lore in our home. My oldest has dairy anaphylactic allergies, oldest child, and he sent like a box of snacks, a gift of love of all these vegan things. And we had so much fun eating them. One of the products, by the way, they should give you some kickback. We now just have auto order on Amazon and so, dude, your name was like thrown around so much. Like, who did this? David Sher? Oh, David Sher. So, my friends listening to this podcast, you can be the kind of person who shows up and receives and gives. And David, you live that out, man. And that's such a treat to me. And what would make you want to? Because now you're certified and figure that shift out. You can do that with others. What makes you want to have that as a part of your tool belt as a coach?
Hmm. I mean, what I see all the time in businesses I work with. I mean, I work with dozens of startups, typically a million to 25, sometimes 50 million in revenue, and the founders, the entrepreneurs, the executives, they're great executors, and they've gotten there because they're great executors. And so often the challenges that they come to me with are people related.
Mm,
They're interpersonal. They're honestly challenges personally that they're trying to navigate about how they're just navigating the experience of being in a growing business. And so I think once you realize that, yes, execution is, of course, key in business, it's a little bit actually really over optimized in a way. And I feel like there's this bigger need that a lot of people who are running companies see, which is a lot of the challenge is the people side.
mm,
So I think the biggest thing to add to your tool belt, whether it's me or somebody else in business, is how do you navigate aligning people together, motivating people, finding ways to work through challenges, improving your communication. So I think that's what SiteShift can help you with, but it starts with yourself,
mm,
you know. And so thank you for sharing about some of our ways of, I guess, giving and receiving over the past few years.
mm,
So it's definitely been mutual. I feel like I can list off lots of examples that go the other way. Um, but I think doing that work yourself first, yeah, and that's what's actually really powerful too about site shifts. You can do the work yourself and start to learn and embody, and then you want to share it with others because that's going to lead to better outcomes. You see things that happen in your business or in someone else's business, and you're like, I feel like actually we could help that some. I could work on that with you so that it's not such a conflict or such a challenge or such a dilemma.
mm.
So yeah, I think if you want to up level a lot of the interpersonal stuff, which is really, I think, where most companies are stuck, then that's why I would add this to your tool belt. And that's why I've added it to my tool belt.
I love that. That's so well said. Well, if they wanted to reach out to you and work with you, where would you point them to go?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to davidsherry.me. It's just my personal website. And again, I typically work with founders who they've already had some success. So it's more in the startup kind of independent business owner realm. You've had enough success to get your business off the ground. You're probably doing 1 million, 5 million in revenue. And now you're feeling kind of the stretch of that next level of
Mm.
growth. And so you kind of don't know what you don't know. So I kind of help guide founders through that journey in how to kind of shift into the next stage of growth as a business. And I work one-on-one with individuals or co-founders. So you can reach out and find me there.
Awesome. And just for everyone, David, like you would imagine, Sherry, SHERRY.me for everyone listening. David, thank you for being here. What a blast. I just wish we had more time. We'll stay true to the format, as true as we can be, because I want every minute of this on the episode. And hope you have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thanks. Celebrating 10 years into the next 100.
Woo! Thanks for listening in as we dove into the story of transformation as someone went through Figure That Shift Out. We're celebrating 10 years, 10 stories, and I don't want it just to be something you listen to. Explore what might be possible. Imagine how far you might go in your leadership. And join one of our Figure That Shift Out coaching groups, work with one of our certified coaches. I look forward to hearing about the transformation that you go through as a result of Figure That Shift Out.